Welcome to the Authentic Happiness Show, where me and my friends, we're going to talk about a few things tonight. And here's Enzo and Jara.
What
Welcome,
up?
guys.
Hello. I got weird hair, as usual.
But it's
Me
okay.
too. I was born with it, though. So.
Weird hair is the least of our problems.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
So we're just talking about a few things, few different things tonight. We're going to talk about the planets being in alignment, and how cool that is. And there's a lot of cool aspects that go along with that. And we can talk about, the things that are going on right now, like the inauguration of the TikTok ban, just anything that goes through comes across our pretty little head.
Yep.
Which of which we already discussed before the show started. We need to
Right.
show up like 2 minutes right before the show starts. It's like, yeah, you sound good. Do I sound good? Okay, yeah. So look, go live.
Yeah, right. I know, right? Right.
We always start something really juicy, like right when we're supposed to be starting the show.
Well, something I thought that was interesting about Trump's speech is when he was talking about the fires in Los Angeles, and then he said that's interesting. He said it was interesting. He was like talking about how their houses were burning down, and some of those wealthy people are here today, and he was like, that's interesting. That people's houses burnt down is interesting.
Well, it's because they were put in a position where they were allowed to burn down, because there were, it's basically, it's come to light that the people in Los Angeles County and the city and all that stuff basically were not doing their jobs. The people that run all that stuff, where fire hydrants weren't working at all. Some were actually missing because people were stealing them and selling them for scrap. Where even if they were there, that a lot of the places didn't even have water to pump through them because they had opted not to do that. And they have another program where they've got, springtime runoff water from the mountains that's just, they don't know what to do with it because they've got so much of it, and they're just dumping it out into the ocean, which could have been used to fill all these things. So there's a lot of things that have come out that are certainly, mistakes, where one or so would be okay, is it just a bad timing thing or whatever? But there are multiple steps in the chain of events that led up to this, where this could have been prevented,
right?
Or at least minimized,
right? Like many things, and it seems like lately. Yeah. So Susie was telling us about. She was going to tell us about some questions because we didn't see.
I'm trying to remember some of the questions that they asked. So he's Singaporean, the owner of TikTok, and someone kept asking him if he ever was a part of the Chinese, I don't know,
the Communist Party or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything to do with that. And he said, no, I'm Singaporean and I'm not Chinese. And then they asked him again another question, like if he ever was in the Chinese army or if he ever this and that. He says, no, again, I'm Singaporean. And he kept repeating it. And people were asking him dumb. Then this one lady asked him, God, what was the stupidest question? I can't remember what it was though. She asked him, oh, here's a dumb one. They asked if being connected to TikTok would have to connect to his home Wi-Fi.
What?
Yeah, you have to connect to your Wi-Fi if you want the internet, and you got to have the internet to connect to. And he was trying to tell him that, and the guy was like acting smarter than him, and while he's asking these really stupid ass questions, embarrassing. I thought it was embarrassing to America, because like, oh Lord, and these are the people making decisions for us.
But like I assume this is a congressional hearing. I didn't watch it, but you find out pretty quickly that these guys are really good at harnessing money and votes, and not much else a lot of times.
Right.
Sometimes they can be pretty good. Like for me, I'm a UFO guy, so I've certainly watched all the different congressional hearings on UFO stuff that they've had over the last few years. Some of the first couple of them were really, really bad questions. Even the guys that were giving the presentation didn't even know how to use their own equipment. Remember the guy who was trying to figure out how to start the video or pause the thing and didn't know how it worked, and it was ugly. That's gotten a lot better. And there's some pretty good questions that have come through. So they've learned over time. But there are certainly, there's a famous one from years ago where I don't remember where he was from or even what his name was, but basically one of our elected leaders was asking a military person. They were trying to increase the number of Marines at a base in Guam, the island of Guam. And he was very, very concerned if they had not, have they done enough studies that they may have put so many people all there where the island might tip over. He was serious. Yeah, he was deadly serious that they hadn't done the math by adding, 20,000 more personnel at this base for, whatever the reason was, that it might tilt the island over because there were so many extra people and people would drown.
Wow. Just wow.
Just wow.
Because it's like, I don't know, at some point you'd think to get that far in life that you'd have to have some critical thinking skills.
Right.
Yeah,
right?
It is one of those, when I heard it, it's like, no way, this is a joke. And I found the video where I'm watching it basically live. And it's like, wow, are you from Earth? Do you not know how islands work? They're the tops of underwater mountains. It's not something floating. It's not this cork floating on the surface of something. What are you thinking? God.
That's terrible.
I know, right? Wow. Yeah, that's kind of scary. I didn't know that the inauguration was so. I guess I've never really watched one before, but it was so dun, 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 how they were
it is
the honorable, the honorable William J. and Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Yeah.
And then they all had a little song that played as they all walked in, and I was like, "Where's Michelle? Where's Michelle Obama?"
Oh, she didn't come.
Wasn't there? No, Barack was by himself. He was all by himself. All the other wives were there, though.
He was by himself a week or so ago at Jimmy Carter's funeral as well.
Oh, really? That's weird. Why? That makes me nervous. I don't know why.
Conflicting schedules, I believe, is what it said. Probably. Of course, which that happens and just
conflicting schedules. Oh, yeah. For an inauguration and the funeral of a former president, you have conflicting schedules. And what is your job right now again? Exactly.
Okay,
I don't know.
Right. There's something going on there.
That's weird to me. When was the last time somebody saw her? When was the last
alive? Yeah, right. Something else I heard. Billy Ray Cyrus. He did some sort of performance that was subpar, and he looks a little strung out.
Oh, really?
How old is he? He's deep into his 50s, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's nothing. That's young still.
Yeah.
One of my few weird claims, I graduated from the same high school as Billy Ray Cyrus. He was actually in the same class as my oldest sister.
How funny.
Russell High School, Russell, Kentucky.
Huh. That's awesome.
Well before Achy Breaky Heart and all the rest of that stuff. So
that's cool.
That is cool. You don't have your accent. You lost it there, Enzo.
Nope. I intentionally deprogrammed myself so that people could actually understand me when I was talking on a radio or anything like that for the job kind of a thing.
How long did you live in Kentucky? Till you were how old?
I did my 1st through 8th grade in Eastern Kentucky, Ashland, Kentucky. Then I spent my, high school the first 3 of my high school years in upstate New York. which that move there was like, okay, I don't want to be like the toothless hillbilly guy, and these guys in upstate New York, because it's upstate New York. Honestly, it was as much, environmentally like Kentucky as it was anywhere else. It's not all New York City.
Right.
Except for the attitude. And it was crazy. But anyways, so I kind of, what's a neutral, like no accent kind of thing. It's like, oh, I'll just talk like the people on the radio. So I basically taught myself radio voice so that I wouldn't have, I wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb as a kid.
Did you have an accent?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I did.
So how hard was that? Because that would be hard to do that. That's like teaching yourself how to have an American accent when you're really English.
Right. Well, there's actors. A lot of our actors we find out of Hollywood today are usually British. You see them in an interview, like,
right?
What? I didn't know that.
And have you guys ever noticed that like British actors, their American accents are so much better than American actors' British accents? Like, why is that? Why is that? Funny. Well, you have a talent there. So then you have a hidden talent.
Yes. hiding my hillbilly background. When I get like really like tired, kind of exhausted, kind of things kind of get strung out a little bit. And I might say a couple, words that don't make a lot of sense.
I bet you would be good at doing imitations, or imitating people. Are you good at that?
It depends on what it is. I have a very narrow range, but I'm a fair minor bird as far as imitating people sometimes. So.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's funny. Sorry, I just took us on our.
What's his name? Dang it! What's his name?
Trump?
No, I love hearing people do that one too, but I love hearing people, what the frick is his name? Oh man, I can't remember it.
What does he look like?
He looks like William Dafoe, but it's
Hi,
not
Jen.
William Dafoe.
Hi, Jen.
He's the coolest guy. What's his name? Dang it.
Woody Harrelson? Not Woody Harrelson. William Dafoe. Who looks like William Dafoe other than William Dafoe?
Nobody looks
right.
like
I know.
When I figure the name out, because I don't know why, but I can't just.
Guys, you picked the one actor in Hollywood that has a very
right?
jack-o'-lantern style face.
Right. She's like, he looks like John Malkovich, but not like John. Oh, David Spade. Wait. Wait, you turned into a robot.
But
yeah.
I think you're frozen. Are you frozen?
You guys. He's very famous. He's a great actor. We all love him.
David Spade.
It's at the tip of my tongue.
Jim, what's his name? Carvey, whatever. Dana Carvey. Who you said he was in?
And he talks like this for a second.
He talks like really slow and kind of awkward.
Matthew McConaughey.
No.
All right.
I can't even. It's so far out now. I can't. Come on, guys. You know who?
You said he was in Joe Dirt.
Yeah, he was in Joe Dirt. He was the janitor, and Joe Dirt worked for him. And he talked about something. Oh, he was also in Pulp Fiction when he talked about putting the watch up his ass, and he saved it. He saved that watch up his ass for so long. Yes.
Oh, Christopher Walken. He does not look like. Well, maybe okay. they have a similar aura about them.
Yeah.
And Jen,
very strange cadence. Yeah.
Hi, Jen.
Yeah, so I love it when people imitate him.
More cowboy. More cowbell. I was just thinking about that the other day. That's funny.
Gotta have more cowbell.
The way he talks,
There was somebody had a cowbell at work. I was thinking about that. Oh my goodness!
I would have so much fun. Okay, so there's that. Do you do anybody's imitations? Whose imitation? Do you do an imitation of anybody? Who does a good imitation of somebody here? Nobody?
No,
Neither of us?
I don't do a good one of anybody, but it's mostly like, for me, it's like the tone that they speak in, kind of a thing. Cause like, some people are very unique about it, and you just do it just slightly, and it's like, hey, that's kind of good. It really isn't. But, you get, people like William Shatner that has these awkward pauses that he does that, it's very unique to William Shatner. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For some reason, he reminds me of my grandma. I don't know why.
William Shatner?
Yeah. William Shatner does. Yeah. Like a lot. I don't know why.
There's a man on the wing.
They have like a similar, like a mannerism or something, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a roast for William Shatner one time on the Comedy Channel, and one of the comedians was talking about, and Betty White was there, and she was really old. She was still alive, but really old. And the comedian said that she shat in her pants, just waiting for her turn to come on.
Oh no!
Cracked me up. I'll never forget that.
A shat for Shatner. I get it.
Right.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, gotta love it. So the other thing that's going on right now is the planets are in alignment. So romantic. I love it. I love it. So we're all three of us. We love looking at the sky, and so seven of the planets. Am I correct, Enzo? 7 of the planets are in alignment, and
I've got a little news.
All 7 of them?
Walk us through it.
I mean, all 7 of them. 7 of them?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed. So is it with the moon too? Because it was that one night.
Yeah, like a week or so ago, the moon.
Yeah.
Because this is something it's spread out over, a few weeks, because the planets don't move that fast through the sky at night. But I have a little clip down below if you want to share it, a little news clip thing that we can watch that explains it all in detail. So I'm not trying to rehash it.
Cool.
There we go. Let me know if you can hear this.
Happy 2025, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett here in the King 5 newsroom. It is Friday night before the holiday weekend. And if you've had some big plans and you've been waiting for the stars to be in alignment, this could be your weekend and possibly your week. In fact, we've got a really cool planetary alignment taking place, but a lot of people are wondering, well, it's Western Washington. Will I be able to see the sky? The answer is yes. Let's dig into the graphics here. What we've got going on here. So the stars and planets will be in alignment. So NASA says that shortly after sunset, you should be able to see Venus and Saturn in the southwestern sky, Jupiter overhead, and Mars in the eastern sky. Now, on January 17th and 18th, Venus and Saturn will only be about 2 degrees or just a few finger widths apart in the sky, as their orbits appear to pass closely to each other, even though in reality, they're about 800 million miles away.
Just going to pause him here for a second, because that's one of those little navigation tricks for degrees of separation for things in the sky, is holding your hand out at arm's length. The width of one of your fingers is about 1 degree.
And just so people know, you can literally, I have a very good view of the sky, very good view of Venus and Saturn, but they're so close together that it's almost like Venus, the light from Venus kind of lights up the little Saturn star, and they're very close together. So it's like the brightest star in the sky, and then the little star that's right next to it is Saturn.
Which is relatively low on the horizon shortly after sunset. And then as you work your way around, across the sky, because we're looking, this part's all the way in the east. Mars is all the way to the east. It's rising while all of this other stuff is going on. We have Neptune, which you cannot see with the naked eye. You need a fairly decent telescope to see that. The same thing with Uranus. I'll say it the proper way so people don't titter in the background when I'm saying Uranus.
You mean you need a microscope to see? Yeah, I mean not microscope, telescope.
Yeah. You are very demure if you need a microscope to see Uranus, but yeah, that's but yeah, you need a sizable telescope to see them. You can see them, but you're going to need something like in the 6-inch or larger range telescope to see something any more than just a blurry dot. But and then
Jupiter you can see with binoculars because I look at it every night.
Jupiter is always a big standout because it's so big. It's the largest one in our solar system, of course, so it reflects a ton of light. And it's around like where Orion is. It's in Taurus right now, so you'll see that very brightly. And then when you follow it a little further on, you'll see Mars, very solid red. Which if you have a strong telescope, you could actually see like parts of like the one of the poles that has polar ice caps on it and all that stuff. It's very interesting to see.
That's cool.
But this will be like this in the night sky for probably another week and a half, 2 weeks, where you'll have everything like this, where Mars and Venus move fairly quickly, from our perspective, kind of a thing. I think they have, this picture where you've got Earth here and the side, of course, facing the sun. That's where daytime is. So at night, you can see Mars, Jupiter. Well, you can't see Uranus, but Neptune, Saturn, all that stuff. And Venus, of course, because it's, Venus is here, Saturn's way out here, but they look like they're really close to the sky. But there's literally hundreds of millions of miles between the two. But it's just a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So do we know when the next solar eclipse is?
Solar eclipse is going to be a few years from now still. I was trying to look up
really
the next conjunction type thing like this is. And couldn't really find it, but
are just a few finger widths apart in the sky as their orbits.
Shush you! We're done with you. But did find an article how rare is planetary alignment. Not as rare as you would think, but just to put things in perspective, one of the rarest alignments, of course, would be all 8 planets lined up in the sky all in one night. That only happens every almost 400 million years. So that's not, or 400 billion years. So that's, you're probably not going to see that. I apologize. Sorry for that. Unless you have a time machine or are eternal, you're not going to see that anytime soon. The last time a similar alignment like what we're seeing here happened back in December of 2022, which it was the same thing where, just rising in the east and just setting in the west and taking across the whole sky. I remember as a kid, back, it was in the 80s, I think, where all the planets lined up in the solar system almost in like a straight line kind of a thing. And they were, forecasting doom and gloom because the gravity is going to pull on each other and they're going to send planets spinning off. Yeah, none of that happened. Everything was fine.
They said that in 2012 too, didn't they? That the planets were lining up like that.
Yeah, they said a lot of wacky stuff. As it turns out, these alignments like this, because they are far apart, I guess if you had like super sophisticated instruments on each individual planet to measure distances and stuff like that, it'd be like a fraction of a micrometer difference where one planet's pulling on the other, which another. It's not enough to mess up anybody's planetary orbits or anything like that. So it's still cool to see because popping outside and looking up in the sky and seeing a number of different planets all in one shot's pretty great.
Yeah, it is. It's cool.
We've got a question, Enzo, about the egg craft.
Oh, the egg. Well, we have to extend that now to which egg are you talking about? Of course, Saturday on News Nation or whatever that crazy thing was, they did a whistleblower interview with a gentleman who said that he was a helicopter pilot and was working in a range somewhere in some military range somewhere in Utah, where he had picked up a egg-shaped UFO from a crash site and delivered it to somewhere else. They provided a night vision, because it was green, video of basically looking straight down where they've got like a tether going from the bottom of the helicopter. They had basically basically wrapped up this this egg-shaped thing, and basically showed them lowering it into, I guess, a desert environment and setting it down. And when it hit the ground, it kind of like rolled around a little bit. But there were like no people around. There was some light source coming from off to the side, so it wasn't like it was in the middle of nowhere. But there's certainly been, the internet is going to internet, and a lot of internet experts have popped out and made a few suggestions of what they think it is. None of which is a UFO or something from off planet. There are terrestrial things that this thing could have been. Plus that gentleman's story, and they even showed during the interview his DD 214, which is a government form that's basically it's basically
honorary discharge.
Yeah, it's what you get when you separate from the military. I've got one, and all that, and it lists all the places you were stationed at, all the awards you've gotten, all the job titles you've held, all of these things on it. His was not very extensive. If we're going to be comparing DD 214s, I did a way more than he did, that kind of thing. But I'm not claiming I picked up a UFO egg out in the desert either. But it's overall, it's I kind of lump it into, all right, that's his story. I can't necessarily disprove it. There's more to disprove that it's maybe BS or somebody inflating their own story to make themselves sound good. And because towards the latter part of the interview, he did say that he's part of a group that has like a CE5 style mentally calling in the UFOs, and they can go to this website and check out his group that you could certainly I went to the site, and it was basically, if you want to donate money to our program.
How is he a whistleblower exactly?
Yeah,
because he's just claiming something that makes him a whistleblower.
He says he's a whistleblower, but I'm not seeing a whistle. He's just
right.
Right. He's like, I'm blowing a whistle. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So there was, it was an extensive thing, which you could probably go on YouTube somewhere and probably find the full interview and watch it yourself, so you don't have to sit through the commercial breaks every about 6 minutes, it seemed, watching it live. But it's okay.
If you were really telling the truth about something that actually happened to you, or that was important, that would be important to the world, why on earth would you need to ask for donations? So that right there should just tell everyone, obvious, you can't trust that person, obviously, because if something was, I don't know.
Going out on your own and doing your own personal, UFO research, stuff's not cheap. Whether you're doing a ghost researcher or a cryptid person or a UFO guy, there's technology you can use to make that way easier of just documentation alone, night vision, thermal imagery, regular cameras and microphones and recording material. None of that's cheap, and it costs money, so I don't really shame some people to, it's like, here's buy me a cup of coffee thing if you want to donate.
Well, yeah, but isn't he a government official who's claiming something?
At best, he's a government contractor. That doesn't necessarily mean much. Basically, he's running a business that just happens to be his customer is the United States government. which for him is he's a helicopter pilot that will fly out in the middle of nowhere at, any given time to pick up whatever it is that they're told him to pick up and deliver it to a specific point that they say to deliver it to. And
so why does he need donations if that's his job?
Because he's spun up his own little thing.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
That's the part that's like.
Yeah, he also made a claim that one of the things that he picked up, not necessarily the egg thing that he talked about, but apparently he was suffering from acute radiation sickness afterwards, where basically it was like a severe sunburn, where he describes, his skin's like sloughing off on his arms and stuff like that, which there were no medical records. There was no like scar tissue that he was showing on camera or anything like that to prove that. Those things don't really go away. When you've got, scarring like that, what occurs, but it was something that I would think you would be able to point out on a camera while you're doing the interview, but he did not. But he's also, like I said at the end, he's basically forming up his own group to look for UFOs. Because he also added in a section near the end where, while going in to pick up, because he doesn't know what any of these things are, he's supposed to fly his helicopter in, basically lower it down long enough to where people on the ground hook something up to the bottom of this long tether that he has on the bottom of the helicopter, and then he just transports it 20 or 30 miles away to a specific spot that they tell him to and drops it off. During one of these, he said he experienced a psychic imagery kind of thing as he approached the site, where he said it was like a female force that they were having a conversation with him while he was flying the helicopter, and he felt sad for them because they were injured, or all whatever it was, whatever the full story was. You can go and check that out yourself. With again, it's like,
that's weird.
So what did you do? You felt you were emotional, because he's implying that he was super emotionally upset about all this. He still dropped it off with whoever the bad guys were, I guess. At the end. So he wasn't that stricken with it.
How weird. That's a weird story. Like, that makes me wonder, like, if he's telling the truth. Because, like, what a random, because what a random thing to say that he started having somebody else's thought. Because I actually believe that technology exists, actually.
What do you mean?
That thoughts can be put into people's minds right now. I believe that technology exists.
I do too, but I don't really believe it's technology. I believe it's natural, because studies have shown that houseplants are sentient and it
is natural, but
know when you're near them or not. So
right, but it is technology, because it is technology, because it's what's the word? It's manipulating nature or enhance. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Right. So it is manipulating technology. So like when you're using frequencies to change the behavior of other beings. Yes, it is a natural, beautiful thing that frequencies can do that. Is it natural and beautiful to use that nature in order to manipulate and control others? No, that's not. It's not. And that's what makes it it is technology for them, because they're using it as like a tool, as a means to an end.
Right. To Jen's question of her issue was he was working for government contractors.
Right.
The government used a lot of civilian contractors for a lot of things that they do.
Mm-hmm. And they pay them very well.
They pay them very well. They also don't have the culpability of it, where like, hey, your job is to go to this point, pick up whatever it is, don't ask questions, and then deliver it to wherever we tell you to. Again, not asking questions. If it happens to be you're exposed to a near lethal dose of radiation, where you've got skin conditions where your skin's falling off and all your hair is gone, that's on you. You can't sue the government for that because you're a civilian contractor. You handle your own stuff past us saying here you were contracted to pick up here and drop off there. So there's a certain level of they don't have to answer for some of the stuff with using a civilian contractor versus an actual active duty military person who's directly under their rule had the same thing. Now it's a big thing because they have to explain how did this person get hurt and all. There's a whole investigative section of the military that would go into if a military person was injured like that.
The last episode of the Y-Files was talking about radiation exposure, and it was talking about the wolves at Chernobyl. Have you heard about those?
Yes, I watched that episode. It was very good.
Oh, did you? Yeah, it was interesting. It was talking about them like having different enhanced and their I don't know if it said that they got larger. Did it say they were bigger in size or they were just more?
I don't recall that. The thing with radiation is it basically it destroys your DNA to where it'll try and rewrite itself, but sometimes it gets really messed up where you get like the extra arms and things like that. That in the wild, which is what we're talking about, and as far as the wolves go, the ones that have these catastrophic type mutations usually die pretty quickly after being born even. But the ones that survive are, because they survive, they're hardier. They can be pretty monstrous because they survived it, because anything less than that is going to die rather quickly. So you start introducing mutations, the end product, a generation or two later is going to be a sturdier, hardier, being from what it was before the exposure.
Right. Well, so I was just wondering, because, with us growing up around so many volcanoes, I was like, I wonder if that was good for us or bad for us.
Radiation uranium's fairly I won't say common, but it's prevalent down there in the Arizona area, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I believe it is on the reservation, I think. In the desert areas, I believe. I could be mistaken, but I think so.
But I mean, if it's not like the volcanism or the and stuff like that, I mean, they were testing bombs here.
Yeah, there was also that. There was nuclear fallout because we were part of the Downwinder program too. So there was that. So yeah, there's a lot of radio or I guess, I don't know, what's it called? Background radiation or something.
Well, it would be radioactive fallout. If it was from a nuclear explosion where it
there's fallout,
all that stuff, and all that stuff spreads out, basically everything.
And then it blew
and all that.
Yeah. They just ended the Downwinders program in 2022 though. Mm-hmm. So, because before that, anybody that got cancer that was born within and lived in a certain states within a certain time frame.
Back in the 50s, because they popped off a lot of above ground nuclear detonations back in the 50s, just experimenting with it, making them bigger and badder and worse, to the point where you could be in Las Vegas and go out on a party tour bus to watch the nuclear explosion. You're still miles away.
Are you kidding me?
I am not joking at all.
Are you kidding me right now? That is so bad. What is wrong? You know what? It makes me mad. Man.
So with the mention of Las Vegas and all that, Area 51, the reason why it's number 51 is the Nuclear Regulatory Commission basically built a grid map of all of these places where they were setting off all these above ground nukes to study, how far does that radiation travel? They didn't even know what fallout was originally. They didn't realize that all these little microscopic pieces are falling, radiation is just raining down out of the sky, miles downwind.
How did they not realize that exactly? How does somebody that has the intelligence to create a nuclear weapon not realize that it creates fallout? Like I would know if I clap two things together, it's going to make like.
They thought it was some, but it was way worse than what they imagined. But that's why they had the study. Is the reason why that area is called Area 51 is on those maps. They had Area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 51, 52, 53. It just happens to be that 51 is where that particular area is they decided to build their secret base out there.
And you know what? I bet everybody that went to go watch those, they probably had them fill out some information, and then they probably secretly watched those people because they were experimenting on those dumb people that were dumb enough to go watch it because they were like, oh yeah, here, let's get these.
There's a famous video.
We're going to tell people.
There's a famous video of Army personnel just a few miles away from a nuclear explosion where they basically took their basic, out in the field kit kind of a thing where they've got a little collapsible shovel and all that stuff. They're like, okay, dig yourself a little foxhole and just hang out here. Don't look directly at the explosion when we tell you, that kind of thing.
Oh God.
And they had them, move around, after that. And there's a very clear video. It's a very famous video where you can see military guys the mushroom cloud is expanding up on the horizon kind of thing. And they're just a few miles away going, oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty wild.
So I have another question about that then. So how far away were they? Uh-oh, my headphones just died. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Yes.
So how far away were they? Because I always thought like with a nuclear bomb or whatever, if you're anywhere close to it, you're toast. Like that on what's it called? What's with Arnold Schwarzenegger? The movie
Terminator?
The Robot. Yeah, Terminator. When the bomb goes off, it's like so how can people watch it and it not do that? Like, is it not really a bomb?
It's a bomb. Just pulling up a quick picture here.
Like, so they know the exact range that it's gonna. How do they know it's not?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up this picture here, but they're miles away. Pull this up. Sharing. There you
go. Okay.
That's not it.
Those are cool.
Yeah, you got this one like right here. You got people just hanging out, and this is only probably maybe 5 miles away. Okay,
was that a nuclear bomb? It doesn't look like a very big cloud.
Soldiers and cameramen are the small boy nuclear test, part of Operation Sunbeam, also known as Operation Dominic 2, Nevada, 14th July, 1962. And that's not that far away.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's not affecting them and they're not wearing any protection.
That's the thing is, back in the 50s and 60s, they didn't know until they started doing things like, I can guarantee everybody in this picture probably died an early death from some form of cancer. But there's still,
But that's a safe distance to walk away from a nuclear bomb?
Oh, yeah. 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 So, the idea of the movie version of what a nuclear weapon goes off and, it just disintegrates everything for 30, 40 plus miles. That's not how it works at all.
Oh, well then I'm not scared. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Well, I didn't realize that though. So that does make me feel a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah, this is actually like the one I was describing where you got military guys just this is probably under 5 miles away. And you can see where they kind of dug out a little foxhole kind of area. They're like, oh yeah, look at that big mushroom cloud.
Why is that so impressive that they want to be that close to it? Because it's not as impressive as I was thinking, like in the movies. So why do they even want to be there to look at it?
Again, it's another one of those because they were experimenting with a bunch of different things. They're like, do their radios work properly? Is there an EMP that reaches out, 4 to 8 miles, however far away they are in this picture, that kind of thing. Can they do their regular job like they normally would just because there was an explosion several miles away? In most cases, they could. However, if they're downwind of it, looks pretty dusty and crappy there. There's a blast of radioactive particles raining down on them as we speak. In this very photo. I would actually even hazard to guess whoever's taking these photos that the photography film itself shortly after this would be affected by the radiation that started raining down on where things would look all warped and weird on the photograph film itself.
They're not even wearing masks, man.
Oh.
And that cloud looks weird. It looks like weird, doesn't it?
And back then,
what is that?
That's the actual nuclear device.
Whoa.
Why?
You can see a guy hanging out down here. These are, test sets. They're not designed for, loading on planes and dropping on.
Why is it wired? What are the wires for?
How a nuclear weapon works is you've got a highly fissionable thing in the middle, usually plutonium or uranium. And basically you're trying to compress it to where nuclear fusion is going to occur. That's basically what happens on the sun. Because the sun is so big, the gravity itself of, tens of thousands of miles of matter is smashing stuff into the middle of it to where it's actually, nuclear fusion, where you're fusing two atoms together because there's so much stuff. Basically, it jams it together and it makes a whole new atom, but it releases a tremendous amount of energy by that process. Nuclear fission is like what this thing does, where it's splitting the atoms apart and making it stuff like that. So, that's your different nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. This is a fission bomb where basically they've got a globe of uranium or plutonium or something like that, a very high on the periodic table, unstable radioactive material, where they've got explosives all the way. If you've got this lump of whatever it is, they've got explosives that basically are directional, where they point it in this way. They've got another one here that points it down that way. They've got another one over here that points it in this way, all the way around the sphere. So they're causing all of it to compress in basically on itself from the explosion. And that's what causes atoms to rip apart and actually create, an atomic explosion.
So that's interesting.
So that's what all of this is. You can see, these various points all the way around it, where little plug, where basically that's explosives pointed directly towards the middle of whatever it is. This one is 1945 at the Trinity site. This is the original nuclear weapon right here. So
of course they call it to something biblical. That's funny. I was just thinking that sounds like God, like, I don't know, fission and fusion sounds like a God power to me.
and of course it was exploded at the Trinity site. So you got
and they say that they always see UFOs when people start doing nuclear testing, but maybe that's angels they're seeing, not UFOs.
Could be. But yeah, there you go. There you go. That's how nukes work, folks. Don't build one.
Wow, that is a very complicated and messy looking bomb.
Yeah, it was very complex. It still is.
They're like, oh wait, it didn't go off. Hey Jerry, is the black cord plugged in? Yeah, black cord's plugged in.
The cable.
Check on the blue cord.
Boom. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's. Yeah. Okay. I guess it worked. I guess it was
the handle. One. Yeah. It's it's very complicated. There's a lot of things that happen exactly right at exactly the same time to get the full nuke to go off. It's not like if that the big object we saw was on the back of a pickup truck and it went tumbling off and rolling down the street, it's not going to explode. It's going to be fine. Or even if just one or even half of those explosives went off in it, it still wouldn't create a nuclear explosion. There'd be a lot of radioactive material flying all around. Don't get it. That would be the definition of a dirty bomb, where a dirty bomb is just a bunch of radioactive stuff with, regular explosive duct tape to the outside so that it spreads that radioactive material. It basically aerosolizes it so that it's falling everywhere and people are breathing it. You breathe in radioactive material, that's the worst. That's the worst case scenario, because you're
you can absorb it through your skin too. Like,
that too.
Yeah. Our skin's a giant organ.
Mm-hmm.
Very susceptible to sucking stuff in.
So all those people that were like watching it from the tour bus type of deal, they probably have some sort of cancer now.
They probably died in early age, earlier than thought. One of the people actually thought to have suffered from that was John Wayne, Hollywood actor John Wayne. John Wayne was in a really awful film called, what was it called? The Great Warrior. But basically, John Wayne, big, beefy American, John Wayne, was playing Genghis Khan in this movie.
And that's weird. I saw a lot of Wayne today.
There's like super racist makeup to make his eyes look go up and stuff, so he looks like he's Asian. It's awful, but it was a bad movie. However, they were kind of trying to do it on the cheap, so they needed a place to film it because they had horses and they're going to have big battles and all this stuff all outside. And they found out, hey, there's these spots out in Nevada that are super cheap. They'll let you film out there for free. They're part of one of these desolation zones where you could probably kind of walk out there and probably be okay. However, you can't have dozens of trucks with lighting and actors and equipment and horses galloping around to film a battle scene and stuff. It's just all this dust.
I know, right?
Dust. So, because that's one of the reasons that is put out that John Wayne died as young as he did of horrific cancer. He was riddled with it everywhere.
Oh, shit.
Really?
Because he filmed so many scenes out in these radioactive dead zones that were just because even today, if you drive through those areas on the road, it'll be like, if the wind is above this, have all your windows closed, turn your air conditioner to internal circulation. Don't exit your vehicle if the winds are too high, because all this stuff is still radioactive. It's stuff that's just sitting on the dirt on the ground, all the dust.
Right.
So whenever that wind picks up, it can still get in you today.
Man, I wonder what's under us, because it makes me think like what the stuff they did in the past and like how they just like bury it and they just like build stuff on it and like forget it, like pretend like it wasn't there. Like we didn't do that. Like what's under me now? Is there like some kind of,
I'm sure
were they testing on genetic testing on babies or like what's, I wish that we could have like an X-ray machine that could see under the ground. That'd be so interesting.
As far as like nuclear waste goes, like comes from a nuclear power plant and stuff like that, they have these giant containers that they put that stuff in that, I won't say it's indestructible, but you'd have to do a lot to crack one of these containers open, where just the testing of it to see if it was viable, they were setting it on fire in lakes of jet fuel and having the same exact one that they just set on fire, putting it in train crashes and dropping it from airplanes, just all this stuff to try and break it open, where there would be a, undesirable amount of radioactive material leaking out of it, and it doesn't. So you'd have to really, really go out of your way to bust open one of those. And all of those, there's a site. Well, there's a few sites, but the main one is in Nevada, because it's already kind of shit-canned in some of those places. Where there's a massive cave network underneath the ground in this very desolate part of Nevada. That's where they bury all of that stuff, all that nuclear waste at.
In the caves?
Yes.
Yeah, let's put it into Mother Earth, the nuclear waste. That's a great idea. Let's put it into the earth, like where the earth makes our water, and like that's a why don't we eject that shit out into space? I don't get it.
Because if you had a Space Shuttle Columbia type incident where it explodes on launch, now all of that stuff is aerosolized over a giant part of the planet.
Shit.
Well, they just don't explode them then. Why can't they put them in those containers that don't break and then put them on the rocket? That way, when it explodes, the containers won't break. Elon can figure that out with his Doge, since he's got,
Doge will figure it out.
Are we paying the man? That's what I want to know. Are we paying him? Do taxpayers have to pay? Is he making a salary off of this position he's going to have? That is weird.
He wouldn't even notice he added it to his bank account.
Right, which is why we shouldn't pay him nothing. He is volunteering everybody to hang out with his friend or whatever they're doing. But I know that I am not about to be paying a billionaire so he can have another job that he doesn't need.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
If the technology were improved where it was a little more goof proof, there has always been the idea of taking our worst toxic wastes, nuclear or not, and shipping it off world to somewhere else where nobody lives.
Can they be people?
that would be the next thing. But it's
that would be
we're not at.
That's a good punishment. That's what we should do to people that do things to children. We should shoot them off into space. Yes, that's a great idea.
Wow. Right.
For people that do things to children, I've always been of the effect of they can have their day in court, but as soon as the judge's gavel comes down, it's like onto a button that opens the trap door.
Right.
Shipper.
We'll just shoot them to space. Yeah. That'll be fun to watch. That would be that
camera. What?
Right. It'll be like televised. It'll be like a whole holiday.
Watch this demon burn, returning from where he can, the fires of hell. Yeah.
Yeah, we could put a little GoPro on their helmet so we can see what it's like as they're going.
It's just a view like this, and there's like a thermometer here that just goes up to 2,000. It's like,
right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And then, then we could be we could find out for sure about the flat earth or not without having to spend money on people that could get hurt. I don't know. It's an idea.
I like your ideas, Jara.
I did not know we were going to go this direction tonight.
I have another idea. I want to know. I'd like to ask Donald Trump why, instead of paying taxes, why can't they just take the money out of the money they owe us? Because they aren't going to give us our Social Security, but they've been taking it our entire life. So can they just take it out of that, and then we'll call it even?
They don't care.
Just not pay Social Security? Is that what you're saying, or just?
I would like to know. Well, because they're not going to pay it, but they take it out of our check still. So how is that not stealing?
It is.
How is it not stealing to take something from somebody, telling them that you are going to pay them back, and you're not, and you're not? How is that not stealing?
Right. And all these
taxes
that
was
are
always
supposedly to do something for us and our country, but yet our country is like a shit show. So somewhere along the way, they ain't right.
Yeah, something's not right, but I would call it stealing. I don't know. If we did that to the government, they would call it stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. If you don't pay your taxes, you are going to jail.
Right. So how
right. It shouldn't I don't know.
I don't understand how so many things can be so backwards, and we just keep not saying anything.
Going along with it. Yeah.
Right.
because it's
I
not
don't
a
know.
like duh. I think that's what like our generation and the generations to come are going to do something about it and be like, why did they just go along with it? They're going to do something. Something's going to get done about it. Like change is inevitable. That's for sure. So
I think our generation is tired, and I think I don't know, my kids, their generation's just different and completely different because they grew up on electronics, and ours, like our generation, Generation X, is like the last generation that knows both worlds, kind, you know what I mean? That was
Right.
like there through the transition or whatever. We're a unique generation, but we're kind of like just now figuring things out about the world because we've been so lied to about everything.
yeah, well, we're the first generation to figure it out, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but now we're
openly
all too
say it.
old and tired to do anything about it. And then our kids don't even understand it at all because they haven't seen any of it. They've
Well,
only known the cell
I
phones.
wouldn't say that. I mean, the younger generation is getting their news from here, which, as it turns out, so is everybody else nowadays, because
Yeah, that's true.
the mainstream media is full of crap and has
Mhm.
always been full of crap.
Yeah.
And they, to the point now to where yesterday they were all screaming about Elon Musk throwing up a certain salute, which is not at all what he did.
Yeah,
And
he wasn't
everybody
even doing it.
knows that. And to just see these same old, tired, defunct news outlets saying the same old bullshit crap, just the same nonsense lies, and it's like, yeah, I'm not watching that.
But we also put up with that too. Like how come they still have jobs? Why are they still, when everybody knows they're full of it? Why? It's like I just want to go like, can I just pause life? Everybody listen for a second. Everybody just listen for a second. So we all know that everybody's full of shit. So can we just all stop pretending for a second? For a second. Can we do that? Because it's really weird.
Right. You know what, Jara? I actually that makes a lot of sense, and it actually goes along with the planetary alignment too, because so this coming year is going to have like a bunch of like planetary things that come into alignment with a lot of change and a lot of like revolution. So when I was looking up the planetary alignment stuff, I was reading a bunch of cool shit, and and well, a lot of things are lining up from where back in history when things lined up this way hundreds of years ago, um and not so long ago, um these events lined up with it and lined up with when these other events happened. And so like right now at the point that it's a time for massive events that are going to happen in the world. um Let me see. Let me read to you guys one of the things.
I have to go get Noah, but I can get on my phone in the car, so I
Okay,
can at least hear you guys. So
cool. Go ahead. Yeah, do that.
Okay.
Can you get on so you can like be on too and still talk?
yeah, I think so.
I think you can. You did it one time before.
Yeah, I should be able to.
So all the planets have psychological drives. When you're getting like an astrological reading, all the planets, where your stars are in alignment, where your stars are at the point of your birth on your birth chart, and the planets, they all have psychological drives. And so one of the things is for Saturn is where you learn to operate within limitations of society. It's where you learn responsibilities, rules, fears, obstruction, that kind of
And
thing. Okay.
that chart is shared below that we looked at before.
Oh, sweet. Let me put that on there too. So there's that. Okay. So right now, Saturn is inching its way closer to Neptune. Now we look at Neptune. Neptune is where your spiritual vision and your highest idealism develops. Okay. So that together being in conjunction is going to force harsh, sobering truths on us individually in our individual lives and collectively. That means all of us. So this could be a challenging period of time, especially for people who have been escaping reality by choosing time and time again to remain blind from the truth, or even just like reality itself, from everything that's right in front of you. So when those planets come conjunct, it's said that the energy is going to force the truth out. People are going to have no choice but to see what's happening. So also, when the planets are in alignment, it's a powerful time to set intentions that align with your true self and make choices that reflect who you want to become. You can use that energy of Saturn and Neptune that is bringing out those harsh truths. You can use that energy to dissolve old structures or old patterns that no longer serve you, and you can embrace a new life. You can embrace new ideas. So it's all very cool, I think. That's the cool part, I think. Let's see another one. Another one is about Saturn. Saturn always brings the energy of committing to something and having discipline and like achieving goals. And Neptune, it brings some softer side. It brings compassion and spirituality. So that
seems like a good yin yang balance there.
Yeah. So that can help during this time of seeing all those horrible truths. That can help you navigate through those blurred lines between like reality and illusion. So, because right now, with the way shit is out there, it's going to be very important to stay grounded and to be like, to stand in with like unshakable certainty in what your values are and what you believe in and what's important to you. Because it'll be really easy right now with all these changes happening and with the world going like kind of awry. It'll be very easy to fall into like false narratives and other people's beliefs and all the bullshit. So it's like really important to know who you are and what you want so that you don't fall into that same pattern, and we don't do that. What was another cool thing? Yeah, so basically all the things that I saw were all saying that right now is like the universe drawing a line in the sand, basically saying, you know what? The bullshit's got to stop. And it's kind of like the universe or God or however you want to put it. All that energy is like popping the pimple of the bullshit. It's going to pop all the lies and they're going to be forced out.
Return to balance.
Right. Yeah. And so, and that's what happens. So I'm thankful for that. And I that gives me hope. Like that restores hope, because that lets you know what? God does have our back for sure. That's, and I like that. Yeah. So what about you, Enzo? Do you see anything romantic about the planets aligned? I think it's romantic that it gives us a new chance to have a new mindset and a new, just like a little bit of energy, to pop onto it.
From a purely observational thing, it's like, wow, we can, in one night, you can go out and see most of the planets in our own solar system. It's a sense of scale and perspective, I feel.
Hell yeah.
To go out and to see, what's in our own backyard. And with the backdrop being the rest of the galaxy and universe beyond that, I feel if you look a little deeper into it, it gives a sense of scale of our own place in the universe, where we're a very small part of it. But we can certainly have our own impact in our own backyard, which is still quite vast, compared to humanity. But it's one of those things. I feel it's perspective, like rebalance of
right.
This is everything. within your purview in your own backyard around your own sun.
That's amazing.
You know,
It's incredible and amazing.
Yeah, and the things beyond that have their own perspective just like that, and could be someone else is looking back in the same way with where we are their background,
right.
whatever their perspective is. So
I thought there was something else really cool. So so there's going to be an eclipse on March 29th of this year. And after the eclipse, from March 30th till like May something is, let me find it. March 30th till like May something is going to be, boop, 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 where'd it go? It's a near, what did it say it was? Okay, here it is. All right. Okay, so right now Neptune is in for the very first time since the 1800s is in places that it hasn't been in a long time. And
this is the eclipse you were just talking about. It's going to occur March 29th, 2025. So a little bit of Europe is going to catch part of this one. North America is not so much going to be part of it, but all of Greenland, Canada, very northern part of Europe is going to get part of it.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Jara, there you are. So
why are you so bundled up? I thought it was warm enough to be 50 degrees there.
Oh, it's cold. There's a freeze warning tonight.
Yep, I think it's 48 now.
And I don't have my plants covered either. Dang it. It's 45. Ouch. Right now.
Ooh.
My car's good.
It's really cold tonight.
Yeah, it's cold.
And Enzo's at like minus 10 or something, right?
Yeah, it's like 20 degrees here right now, and we got a low of like in the low teens, I think, for tonight.
I wouldn't go outside.
This morning when I woke up, it was minus 10 outside.
Oh my God! How do you how do you have heated blankets? I remember heated blankets, Susie. I used to have those in Flagstaff.
Those are actually the most economical way to go. It's actually something that I have planned for when I do the van life thing. Whenever I do have that all figured out, is electric blankets are the most economical as far as power. Blah 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 blah. Right? You can certainly have gas heaters and stuff like that in vehicles, but if you've got a semi-large battery bank, that'll work. You know,
I apologize. I have my sucker while I'm driving. It's a habit.
I remember, like, my mom would send me to turn on the blankets like 15 minutes before we all went to bed.
Yep. Same. And you know what I'm gonna do next time I go camping, or if I'm ever like caught in the wilderness, I'm gonna heat my rocks by the fire or whatever, and then I'll bury the warm rocks and I'll lay on them. And that's how I'm gonna stay warm. I saw that on a TV show the other day on Netflix, and I was like, that's a good idea.
Yep, that's the way they used to do it. Is they would have stones underneath the fire, and then when it was time to go to bed, they would pull the stones out and lay a fur on top of it, and then lay on top of that, so you're not directly on the rock, just sizzling like bacon in the pan. But yeah,
right, dude, that would burn. You'd burn yourself.
Yep. Natural heater. I don't know how I was going to change my camera view so you guys could see where I'm going.
Oh yeah, we would like to see. We could show them a little bit of our.
I have to wait to pull into the parking lot though.
All right. Well, I was just about to talk about how in history, back in history, certain planet placements and certain planet things happened at the same time during certain like health pandemics and epidemics.
Oh, really? Like what?
Okay, so one of them is from in 1917 to 1918, Saturn and Neptune were in Leo, and they were there was a conjunction, and there was a global health crisis of the Spanish flu. So that was 1917, 1918. Okay. So in 1952 and 1953, when Saturn and Neptune were in Libra, this is Saturn and Neptune conjunction, there was the HIV/AIDS epidemic. Okay, so the Spanish flu. What do we know about the Spanish flu? It was brought by. Wasn't it brought by?
It actually was spread by the army. It was actually started in Kansas, where somebody came down with it, and then they deployed over to the European theater for World War I, and it spread like wildfire when they got over there.
Okay, so there's that one. What do we know about polio?
I
don't know anything. I'm just asking you guys. Yeah, I don't know any. Do you guys know anything about it? That's worth looking into. It's worth looking into because kind of we know about HIV now that we're finding out that a lot of that it may have been, there might be nefarious things behind how it came out and how it got out, and did not come out the way that we originally thought. So
that was such a weird time, having lived through that, is because nobody knew. It was the rumor mill was bananas. It's like, if I sit on a dirty toilet seat, am I going to get AIDS?
Right. How scary was that? And they were using that fear to manipulate us, because anytime we have anything like that, they'll use it against us.
Right.
So there was that. Okay. So also, so those are some of the things. And Saturn and Neptune were in Pisces together in 1848. Okay, 1848 is known as the year of revolutions.
Why?
Because wasn't that when the revolution was?
The Civil War.
Yeah. So that's why it's called the year of revolutions. And okay, 6, 7, and okay. When you look at all those times with intelligent awareness, you can see plainly that there is an energy of possibly, and this is just my opinion, and this is just a thought. Okay, so don't get your panties up in a bunch, everybody. If you look at those times with intelligent awareness, you can plainly see that there is an energy of those in authority forcing ideals onto the masses and using deception, maybe confusion, and like emotional manipulation or plant flat out lies to benefit them or control some sort of narrative.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, so kind of right now, the way the planets are aligned and all the conjunctions and how they're going to happen this year, all of the ones that we're reading are all pushing. It's all the universe pushing out all the deception and the lies. And I kind of like, I had this premonition and messages from spirit long ago that at some point in time, all of this mess would be forced for people to see, and everybody would have to, and there would be no avoiding seeing the truth at some point in time. So like, this is super exciting for me, because back then when I was saying that, people were like, she's full of shit, because of course I was probably full of shit. I mean, I was way younger and I like smoked a lot of weed, and I like, of course I sounded like I was full of shit. So it's super exciting for me to see all the bullshit coming true, And so it all aligns. Like we've talked about before, radio waves in the early 1900s, how they made it by law to be put out at a certain frequency that was harmful to humans, that would actually, because there's a certain frequency that you can play that promotes health and well-being, and then there's a certain frequency that you can play that does the opposite, that does not promote health and well-being. And what did they do? They made it so that all radio frequencies have to be played at the bad one. So like that all aligns with the early 1900s, which some of these, when all this shit started happening. What else happened around that time? Well, they started taking away bells and destroying bells and pipe organs from cathedrals, which were all known for healing and helping people. So I guess I'm saying all of this to put it out in front of everybody even more, because I told myself that this year I was going to be more aggressive with pointing it out, because I have to live in this world too. And I think it's time for people to admit to it. And I'm very respectful, and I don't push my beliefs on people, but I feel like it's time to be a little bit more aggressive and share my knowledge and share my thoughts and feelings, because maybe I could make a difference, even if it's just a pinch. It's worth it to me. So that's cool. That's what I was reading on today, and those were the thoughts that I was having, and I thought I'd share. Yep.
Yeah, we're certainly wow. Even like just a few weeks ago, there were people that are like, I can feel that there's something big changing. There, you can feel that there's a turning of what's going on in the world going on. Not to say that it's, because Trump is doing his thing now, but that is part of it for sure. Is I feel like we're at this, we've gone through like this dip of nonsensical things that didn't make sense, where a lot of people in the shadows were kind of controlling things. Now a lot of people have realized over the last few years that we've kind of been lied to about a lot of things. So there's a turnabout going, right now. We're in the middle of the churn. It's going to take a while, a year or so, to kind of sort a few things out and get back on the right path. But I feel in the end we're going to be much better for it. I think
it is. In the end, it's going to be a massive shift in human consciousness that's for the better. And I'm here for it. I mean, really, I'm really here for it. I believe that's what I was born for, to be here at this time, during this time. And I even believe that that I'm here to help people get through it with love and compassion.
Yeah, so there are certainly a lot of people that are having a rough time right now, of being able to accept it, because they're hanging on to those older ideas and not good. I mean, it's difficult for anybody to go through any kind of change. Exactly. We always resist it. We like the things the way we like it. We don't. Nobody likes change. However, this is change for the better, I feel.
Really.
Yeah,
it's not easy to unlearn everything that you've learned, and do something different. It's not easy. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of people out there like me that are here to like just give off love and compassion and help people through that. And we're all going to be okay. We're going to be better than okay. I believe everything happens just as it should, and we're going to be fine. We're going to get through. We're all going to embody we're going to gain like more of our sovereignty. We're going to have our own beliefs. So we're going to have our own, it's going to be very freeing. It's going to be very empowering.
Sometimes you do have to go through the bad times to realize how, there are people that are trying to influence you that don't have your best interest in heart.
Right.
And you kind of have to go through those. You have to go through that Empire Strikes Back middle part of things really getting bad before you get to that Return of the Jedi. Things are going to swing back up. The good guys.
That is perfect. The way you said that. That is the perfect way. That's the perfect way to explain it. Yep. Yeah. I think it's going to be great. It's not fun. It's not pretty, but it's going to be the most beautiful thing that ever happened. I for one am going to take a peek out, no matter how cold it is. I am going to go outside and see what I can see of the planets. But probably can't see it anymore, right? You can only see it right after
Well,
sunset.
actually, well, yeah, it's the like I think it's Venus and what was it, Saturn? I think we're low in the western sky at the very beginning, after sunset. Those will dip below the horizon rather quickly. The rest of it you can certainly see and pick
Cool.
out. And there's various apps you can have on your phone. I like Google Sky. It's just a
Yep.
basic, which I know you have used and
Yep. I put it on my phone after that one magical night with Enzo.
That's right. We shared a night together in person in real life, where I had that on my phone. I was showing that to her, and she's moving it around the sky and could see how things like, wait a minute, why are all these nebulas and stuff over in this area? It's like, because that's the direction towards the center of the galaxy around Sagittarius, all that stuff. So that was amazing. That was a lot of fun.
It was amazing. Where my father lives, it's the stars come in really clear and it's really beautiful. We must have spent over an hour standing out there looking at all this stuff.
It was well over that. Yeah, it was great. I love that even like your neighborhood itself doesn't have a lot of street lights in it, so that you can really get that dark night sky. I absolutely love that.
It was actually voted that way. Like it was intentional. They really did that on purpose. They didn't want those lights.
Yeah, that is great. I loved it. I live there.
Right, guys. So like it's a perfect opportunity right now, you guys, to become the version of yourself that you've always dreamed of. It's the perfect opportunity to function at your full potential. We're going to get the chance to be without all these limitations from all these lies and shit, and learn new things, learn new ways to navigate our health. Learn that we don't need surgery for everything, and we don't need toxic drugs for everything, that everything we need, I'm going to say it again, everything we need is within us or around us. We have everything we need. So it's going to be an amazing time.
It is almost like a kind of reset kind of a thing. It's like, all right, you've now learned how awful things are, and you've learned there are certain people that do not have your best interest at heart, and they're trying this weird controlling scheme that you can clearly see now. So you can push that influence off to the side. It's not bothering you anymore. You can go ahead and do what you want to do. Your path that you want to define on your own is wide open right now.
Right. It's going to be great. I think also too that seeing all these terrible goings on, and also like evolving our consciousness will help evolve our consciousness a little bit, because nobody wants to be that way. Nobody wants to see that shit, and nobody wants any of that. So seeing it and bringing it into our awareness, I think, is gonna make people not do so much of it. I mean, there probably is going to be some big old assholes that it's going to encourage them more to do it.
Yeah, there are certainly, but especially after the last few years, a lot of people recognize who those people are, and they can choose to ignore them now. They can easily push that. That's not an influence on your life anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Is you can choose what you have in your experience.
Exactly.
Hey, where'd Jara go? She must have logged off.
Yeah, well, maybe just has some bad connections from wherever she was at. It's always a little iffy driving around. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So let's see, how long will we be on? Is it time to call it a night? I think so, Enzo. So
right at an hour and a half. So
right. So anybody who is here, who's new here, please make sure you subscribe, like, tell your friends, and join us again. And thank you very much for joining us. And so, like always, your presence is a blessing.
Thank you.
And we will definitely see you guys next week. And I guess that would be it. we'll see what happens. We'll see what the week brings. Hopefully something positive. Let's try and make it a positive one. Okay, guys?
Ooh.
And if anybody is in any need of coaching or hypnosis, please do not hesitate to call or visit my website to learn more about my services, awakeninghearts333.com. And we'll see you later.
Bye.